YouTube, what's happening, man? How y'all doing? So, I want to appreciate y'all for subscribing to the channel. All I do is make shorts with my face and all that. So the fact that you guys, we've got 100 subscribers, I appreciate that. You know, you don't have to subscribe. I could, you could just keep going. But the fact that you sat, and I feel like, Candace Owens has done a good job allowing me to bring a little bit of traffic. But I figure now, why not bring you guys some information with my opinion? Anyway, so today we're going to talk about Stephen A. Get into him. If you don't know who he is, he's a sports analyst or commentator, or however you want to call him. And for the last 20-something years, him, Skip Bayless, and people like that have always gave their opinion about athletes and people like that. And we would pretty much come to them because they would either have something super duper fringe or edgy to say about the athlete, which would be like, wow, somebody's got the guts to say that about the athlete, you know what I'm saying? But, or, what they would say would kind of come in fruition. So, because they have that credit and, they have that behind them, we kind of, listen to what they have to say and kind of take what they say as true. But, like I said, recently he's began going off and expanding his content and being a little bit different about the information that he brings. My only issue with it is sometimes he'll say something that makes sense, and then sometimes he'll say something like, okay, now you're just contradicting yourself. And with this content I'm about to bring you, you'll kind of see the contradictions for what they are. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it.
Now let's move on to some politics and social media, where some of you, no surprises, you're just continuing to piss me off. Why? Because every time I make a comment that's critical of the Democratic Party or the left, I get accused of being a pundit for the right. Prior to the election cycle, I voiced my concerns about Joe Biden and his ability to serve as second term as president. Then Biden stepped on the debate stage in late June and revealed what many suspected. He embarrassed himself. The White House and the Democrats eventually switched to Vice President Kamala Harris when he stepped away, who ultimately ran what some would say a valiant presidential campaign, at least in the eyes of some, that ultimately fell short with voters across the country. I pointed out my concerns with the campaign and the Democratic Party along the way, and many of you wanted to accuse me of being a voice for the right.
That's because you shouldn't. It's just like when you're talking about a woman, or especially a black woman. You shouldn't say nothing about them. You should allow them to do what they need to do and, to operate. There shouldn't, as a man, we don't have the right, because of the patriarchy. We don't have the right to comment on what women say and what women do, because now we're looked at as, trying to oppress the woman, oppress the voice, and try to hold them back. Again, this P word, the patriarchy, that's why. And also, when you talk against the Democrats, and the issue is you voted that way, you talk against them. Why are you voting for them? Let's figure that out. You're sitting there talking about how they have all of these problems, all of these issues, and I've not seen this, and I definitely believe he's going to give us a huge rap sheet of why he shouldn't have voted for them, but he's still going to say he voted for them. Shout out to Black conservative perspective right there.
So you know what? I feel like it's time to set the record straight, because ain't nobody hiding, ain't nobody running. Okay? Let me be very, very clear. I'm a registered independent because I don't trust either side. I think both sides are full of it on so many levels and so many circumstances, it's nauseating. But I also want to take a moment, because a lot of people out there on social media have been saying to me, here, Stephen A., you take these positions, you're frustrated with the Democratic Party, but then you voted for Kamala Harris against Trump. Why?
Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say that? Sound like he heard me say that before I said it to him. But again, we're going to watch this video. And again, I've not seen it. I can almost guarantee he's not going to point at any, that's a bad standstill, by the way. He's not going to point at any issues with the Republican Party that are glaring, that are something that we can't look over. But if you look at the Democrats, All of the issues that he's going to list are issues that are huge, issues that you just can't look over, issues that you can't accept. Literally, how they conducted themselves within the last 4 years, even longer than that. Because what people don't understand is they understand it, but they overlook it. Excuse me. Trump only was president for 4 years. I mean, even with those 4 years, he was being impeached. So I mean, he was in charge. He was the president, but I mean, we were kind of looking at the wrong things prior to COVID and all of that. But outside of the Trump presidency, when there were Republicans in office, Democrats have ruled the whole thing. So what's that? The last 20 years, there's only been a 4 year span where we have had a Republican. So what is it we're getting at to? What is it we're trying to get at? Is the question I want to pose. And again, Stephen A., why'd you vote the way you voted?
It's very, very simple. I believe that Donald Trump has been a divisive figure. And I was thinking coming into this election that the last thing we needed was 4 more years of what we saw the last time, where there was so much strife and so much division that even though the economy clearly was doing well under his watch before COVID struck, it was just too much for the country to take. I was fearful of civil war in this country. It wasn't so much that he was supportive of white supremacists and he was this racist and all of this stuff like people were saying. I didn't engage in that incendiary rhetoric because I've always believed that Donald Trump was just somebody who did things that were politically expedient. If supporting one side was going to generate votes for him, he would flow with it. And if it was not going to support his cause, he wasn't. It's just simple. It's just that simple. Why did I say that? And why did I refrain from that incendiary rhetoric that was thrown in his direction? It was because I knew Donald Trump before he ran for president. And black, whites, male, females, and everybody in between got along with him great.
Thank you. There were so many people who loved, not liked, not just respected, not cared. They had real, authentic love. And you can see on a much lesser degree for him, I'm not making this real comparison. Well, I will say it without saying it. When people are telling the truth, especially nowadays, when they are coming and going against the regular, they call it the matrix or the media machine, they typically demonize those people. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to get at is they demonize Trump because he's pointing at all the flaws in the media and all the issues and the fact that they're trying to talk about things that one aren't relevant to real life, aren't relevant to the things as people we need, or even just the world or the country itself. We're talking about we'll get into that. I won't even get into that right now. The fact of the matter is they're talking about things that are irrelevant. And Trump is pointing at the fact that if we want to heal as a nation, if we want to get better as a country, this is the things we have to do. I don't believe that he's divisive off of the things that he said. And granted, he's such an authentic person. He'll say some things that are just like, remember the bleach, drinking bleach. He don't think all the time what he says, but you won't have to worry about him trying to speak with some kind of encryption. He's going to tell you exactly what he's thinking, when he's thinking it, and why he's thinking it. You won't have to, he'll talk in a little bit of a circle, but what he's saying is he's going right directly for it, and he's not going to sit there and sugarcoat what he needs to say. And we don't need to be sugarcoated. We've allowed these Democrats to sugarcoat and allow things to be the way they are. We need somebody to tell the truth.
So for all of a sudden everybody to stand up and act like he was this pariah was BS. Mm-hmm. But I was also acknowledging he didn't help his own cause. From the moment in 2015 when he strolled down those escalators with Melania, the man offended 50% of the population back then in 2015.
He can't help that.
Came across as xenophobic in the eyes of many. And it just seemed to go downhill from there.
It's funny that we can sit there and point at Trump and all of these issues, but the fact of the matter is Obama actually deported more illegals than Trump did. So to sit there and try to act like Trump is just He hates all these foreigners and the Hispanic people and stuff like that. Is that really authentic? No. Is that really the truth? No. Let's be real.
So after he served his 4 years in the White House, I didn't want to repeat all of that. But I didn't call him a racist. I didn't compare him to Nazis. I didn't sit up there and accuse him of befriending white supremacists and all of that stuff, because I knew no matter what people believed, they were trying to politicize it. So when I thought about him against Kamala Harris, I said, excuse me, let me make sure Republicans are in the House and the Senate. You have somebody that's going to work with both sides in the White House, and we'll have peace domestically. That's what I was thinking. But under no circumstances was I this raving supporter of Kamala Harris. I saw her during the primaries in 2020. I saw that she couldn't get to Iowa. I saw her comments about transgenders, particularly those in prison that wanted sex changes. I saw how incoherent she appeared in communicating what her objective would be when it came to the economy. I know for a fact that she was supposed to oversee the issues involving the border. Yes, like Roland Martin said, she wasn't the quote-unquote border czar.
We need to stop lying. If she's appointed and it comes out of the President of the United States' mouth, if he's given her a task, that's going to be the truth. He said that she is the border czar. So to sit there and pretend that that was never said and that that was never accepted, maybe she didn't want to be, but she never came out and told us she didn't want to be and she didn't accept it. So he gave her a job and she just wants to do what she wants to do. Boy, that sounds like the patriarchy to me. That sounds like she's being oppressed. He gave her a job to do and she said, you know, I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm doing. That's basically what happened, because he didn't even go back and say that she's not. Again, we only have up to the point where he said that she was, and the fact that she did not do her job. But then she got to be able to keep the position, and then they was trying to elevate her. Shout out to JD Vance. We're not going to sit there and elevate somebody who does not do a good job. We fire them. If you've gotten fired before, you can say whatever, you can point out whatever issues you might have had. But 9 times out of 10, the reason why you have gotten fired is because you did not do a good job. Period. End of story. And stop being disingenuous and lying at this point. And to go back to a point earlier about Trump, a lot of people fail to realize that he was beloved to the point where people were making songs. He supported black people. For instance, Jesse Jackson, I wanted to point this out. Jesse Jackson ran for the presidency in the 1980s. I forgot which exact year, but he ran for president of the United States. Who supported him monetarily? Donald J. Trump. Why? Because they were close. They were good friends. Now you're going to tell me that Jesse Jackson is a racist? No, because people like Jesse Jackson, people like Martin Luther King, weren't fighting for us to be superior. They were fighting for all of us to no longer be inferior so that we could be equal. We're not fighting for equity. We're fighting for equality. Because equity means it don't matter what you got. We're going to be on the same level, which in turn hurts. If I'm doing absolutely nothing with my life and you've worked your ass off to do everything you needed to do, me and you should not be on the same level. That's never been what anybody in the civil rights has fought for. They understand if you've done the necessary things to make and amass your fame, wealth, and money and all of that, you deserve what you've gotten, period. And if you've done nothing, you deserve what you didn't get. So you can't sit there and try to say that this is not a level playing field, because this is what I believe, this is a capitalistic society. You get what you work for, period.
She was perceived as such. I also saw her go on The View and categorically deny that there was any need to change anything that Biden had done, even though over 12 million people crossed the border illegally, and you were acting like there was no border crisis. I saw the duplicitous tendencies. I saw the inconsistencies. I also saw the hypocrisy. And as the election came about and ultimately unfolded, And I saw Donald Trump win convincingly. No, he did not get 50% of the popular vote, as the Democrats are so quick to point out. My attitude to them is shut the hell up. Nobody wants to hear that now. Who cares whether he got 50% of the vote or not? He beat you.
Period.
In the popular vote and the electoral college vote.
Period.
He swept the swing states. He improved his numbers in every demographic imaginable.
Period.
Blacks, Hispanics, women. He beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And the American people spoke, and they spoke flagrantly.
Did they?
And from that moment forward, I'm like, damn all of that. We're going to support the fact that he won the presidency. And I'm going to tell you where I'm at with it.
Y'all seen all of that. And what he looks like somebody's grandfather up there. Like, you could just talk to him. And what people not understanding, all of the interviews, if you guys, I can bring some information or some clips of the interviews. But all of the interviews he did leading up to the election allowed us to see him, because he's had information and he's had clips of him talking to people, but we get to see him now. Because back then, I mean, people change. A lot of the clips that we seen, you know, he was kind of saying some stuff because he was angry about the state of the world and the state of the country. He was angry, and you can see a lot of the things that he was saying because it was out of anger. But right now, from where it seems, there's a more softer, a stern, but, you know, a more firm softness to what's going on. And I know that sounds contradictory, but the point I'm making is he's not as brash and harsh as he was 8 years ago, as opposed to now. He's again seeming like he's trying to get us back to where we were in a loving fashion. He's being a lot more loving as opposed to just whack, beating us over the head verbally and what, you know, all the issues with the media and pointing the finger and all of these. No, what he's doing is standing 10 toes, and he's saying, I'm the one that can deliver us from evil. I can't sit there and say that I don't like the fact that that's what's happening, that he's the person doing it. And what I love is the people that he surrounded himself with.
And that doesn't mean I'm going to become some registered Republican, because I still find them a bit shaky. But when I see Attorney Bragg in New York trying to convince the judge and the courts to treat Donald Trump as if he's deceased, as if he has died, just to make sure that your convictions on those 34 felony accounts remains a part of the record, it just shows another level of patheticness. Mm-hmm. If that is such a word that creeps in. Once again, you can't let it go. He is the president-elect of the United States of America. In January 20th, he is going to be the president of the United States.
With that being said, I feel like it's time to accept it. We can fight it all we want, but what has fighting gotten us? Absolutely nothing. All it's done is separate us and divide us. And here's my issue. The more we fight, we can spend 4 years fighting, or we could spend the next however long getting this country where we need it to be. We've allowed a lot of outside and extremists on the left dictate things. Let's just keep it what it is. If you want to live your life a certain way, live it how you want to live it. But you should not force people to do things your way, because your way isn't the way things should go. You should just live your life, especially if you're doing it legally. And you're not trying to, you know, interfere and talk to kids and things like that. I don't even need to get into that. But, you know, if what you're doing is legal, why can't you speak to what you're doing? The legality of what you're doing. You know, we can accept what you're doing from a distance. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? So accept him. We loved him before. There's no reason for us not to love him now. To sit there and lie and say Trump is this, Trump is that. At a point, we need to come to some kind of agreement and stop the BS, stop the lying, stop the dishonesty. Trump is the president. Let's get behind him and let's move forward. And with that being said, please, if you can, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you wish Trump wasn't the president. Tell me whatever. Let's go and have a little bit of dialogue down below. If you can, have a great day, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.